Good evening, everyone, or maybe even good morning because it's like 12 something. It's Shay Seeking, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. Um, Today, I have a brief story, and then I'll go into what I'm showing you here. I had, I am mm, I like to look for books, okay, old books, and I am someone who enjoys going to estate sales, but I haven't been able to make it to many this summer. And so I kind of just, I've been doing a lot of things. I threw a baby shower last weekend for my daughter. I'll put pictures up, later on my Facebook. And I've been doing a whole bunch of other things too. We're getting ready for the baby to come, and we're just have a lot going on, you know, um, in my household. And I'm mom, so I'm like the center of everything. So I haven't been able to really run out and do what I would do. And plus, I'm trying to keep down my buying when it comes to books and stuff because I'm running out of places to put these things. So anyhow, I glanced over estatesales.net and I said, you know what? This sale has books, some old books. So I'm going to go ahead and try to stop by today. Now, mind you, all day I've been running around. I finally look up around 3:30 and say, oh, if I'm going to make it, I have to go. So I run to the bank, grab a little bit of cash out. You know, um, they're taking all day and kind of ticked me off or got me a little bit upset at this bank. Um, and excuse me, had me waiting for a long time for no reason really. What I No reason. I don't know, we're not even gonna go all into that. So they had me waiting or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to miss this sale, right? So they finally give me my receipt and stuff and I'm out of there. So I start driving down the street and I don't get like 1 or 2 minutes away and there's an accident. Now it's already construction, so I'm blocked off, I can't go. I try to find a different alternative route to go to, or route to go to where I wanted to get to. And I finally found it, and I got there probably like 15 minutes before they were closing. Went around, looked, I said, damn, they must have took all the books. They had a lot of built-in bookshelves and stuff, and they were all empty. So I'm like, okay, I must have missed all the books. That sucks. But I found like two books up there or whatever. I was like, okay, I'll just get these. So I'm like, okay, is there a basement or whatever? I go down to the basement and they got wall-to-wall shelving with books, tables with books, all kind of books and everything. Now there's the crafty me that is looking for like those antique or vintage ideal books, magazines, um, you know, um, cookbooks, stuff like this. I like ephemera and old paper and magazines and stuff. I like to look at. You guys know what I like to do. So that's the one part of me, and playing cards and stuff. And what I do is put these things together as like junk journal kits or just kits in general. And then that's what I do kind of like on my crafty side. And then there's the other side of me that just like old books, Bibles, and I just collect them. Okay. And I read through them and go through them. And it's very interesting to see writings prior to the 1900s, but you don't find them that often. So, anyhow, I finally make it here after being taken on an alternative route because when I left the bank, there was a car accident and I had to go all the way around. So I get there and they're kind of like trying to push everybody out because they're just done already. And so, I'm like, okay, I grab a couple things or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, so how much are the books? He's like, they're free. Take them. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't mind if I do. So I start, no, I started looking around first. And then I found a box with these old black books with all this detail and embossing on the front. And I'm like, that looks like a collection of some type of something. So I got a little excited. I picked up one and I said, oh, I remember I wanted these from a while back. And then I was like, I was gonna order them on eBay, but they were like $100. And I was like, okay, no. So I picked up the box. I mean, I picked through the box. I looked at two of the books. I said, yeah, I'm definitely going to want this, but it's kind of heavy. I can't carry it. So the guy comes down. He's like, there's only a couple of minutes left, blah, blah, blah. So I'm already having these books that I found, and I have those books in that box that I want. And I'm like, okay, um, I think I just told you guys, he told me, no, he was like, it's almost over. We're about to clear it out. So I'm like, okay, I want those books right there, but they're kind of heavy for me to get up the stairs. Is there a way I can get help getting them up the stairs? And he's like, you know what? Okay, I can put them at the front door for you, but that's it. And then I was like, well, how much are they or whatever? And he's like, everything's free. So that's when I found out that they were free. So then I took those books and now I saw something on the bookshelf. Um, Again, I can also use those Reader's Digest. They had a huge collection, and I like to gut them and use the covers for these said junk journals, or to put them in my Etsy shop, or to sell them as kits. So I was like, okay, that would be too much. Everybody would be in shock at home if I came back with all these books. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab like some of the older magazines. So I grabbed my magazines, grabbed the box, went upstairs, left. Okay, one of the other guys was really nice, and he actually brought it to my car. So I get home, look through them, I'm excited or whatever. I clean off the books, dust them off and everything, put them in the basement. So now I'm chilling with the family or whatever. Everybody's asleep. I'm probably sound like I'm talking like a million miles per hour, but I'm trying to get better at not keeping you guys for so long. So anyways, what I'm just saying is sometimes fate can just, I don't know, just sometimes things happen. When you put your mind to something and the universe is all surrounding you, and it's just, I don't know, something. So anyhow, I was skimming through this book, and so I said, let me go ahead and take a little snapshot, pop it up here on the screen so you guys can kind of get a hint of what I'm looking at. Maybe you want to take some of these key terms and put them in Google search and try to see if you can find the same thing that I have here. So this one is like the 1917 version, which is great because it's copyright free and I don't have to worry about anything when it comes to that, or royalty free or whatever. So we're just going to go ahead and read a little bit of this because you guys know we're doing the whole thing on the Addams family and not the one that you see in the creepy television show. We're talking about one of the first and most prominent families when it comes to the founding of America. But I think that a lot of times, well, what I've heard when I grew up, I didn't rarely hear that name. You hear those staple names, Washington, Lincoln, you really just don't hear that much about these people. So, and I'm not saying they're good, bad, whatever. I hate them, or I don't, I'm just bringing up information about them because a lot of this stems from looking into the biblical aspect of this, and a lot of these things that are going on with the Addams family kind of mirror some things that was going on with Adam and his family in the Bible. Okay. So a lot of you guys are going to think I'm a nut and I'm cuckoo, but I am just one that is seeking somewhat of truth or some kind of understanding or alternative or occult knowledge of things. Okay. So I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm trying to show you guys timelines, dates, and stuff like that to also bring forth this, because if we can show people this, we're in Genesis now when it comes to an in-depth breakdown. But it's kind of just, I feel like if we can break this down and somebody else can even maybe use the information that's being brought to them that they may not have access to, that we can put something together and we can indoctrinate a lot of people at one time if we can just bring all this together. Okay. So I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm saying this is a theory, just like a lot of other things that you guys have heard in the past and you just take them as fact because certain people gave you the information when they're just mere theories as well. So what we're saying is his story lied, and this is not your mama's Bible study. So we're basically bringing the two together, writing them side by side to see if we may be, some of you may be worshiping mere men in this book called the Bible. And it's not to hurt anyone's feelings. It's not to, break anyone's spirit. It's just to bring a sense of truth or an unveiling or an awakening. This is something that is bound to happen. Okay. And I'm not the only one that has brought this up. Little chunks and stuff. Me thinking this, little chunks, correlations, being a visual person, reading stories from history, looking at the fact that so-called Black people or so-called African Americans were a majority of them were already in the Americas prior to the slave trade, and they would have been what you would call the American Indians or the Aboriginals or the original people of this land that have been taken in as prisoners of war and have been stripped of everything they would and should know about themselves, their lands, their culture, their heritage, their lineage, their God-given rights, everything, okay? And been fed a lie. And it's very important to keep that lie going today, but they know that they cannot do this any longer. Things are coming apart at the seams, and so we need to know what next steps we need to take knowing this new information, okay? So again, let's go ahead before I start getting tired. And you guys can always remember on this channel, we're not telling you what it is, what it ain't. We're telling you what it looked like to us or me. Okay. And also, okay, um, what was I gonna say? You should always do your own research when it comes to anybody that's giving you some type of information. So, okay, now what you guys are looking at is page 13. I'm gonna start skimming through page 12 just to see if we can get somewhere with that. But I thought it was pretty neat. I was gonna break down the term America or American in this book. But then once I got down here, I started flipping through, and then I noticed this America's most illustrious family. Okay. And then I said, you know what? I have to pull that. Let's go ahead and get our etymology. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? I hope this works tonight, guys, because I was feeling a little energetic, but now, and there's that first yawn. Oh my goodness, this always happens, and it's so irritating. So let's just go ahead and look up this word illustrious. Okay. So, really, you guys, let's just go here. I don't care about anybody's feelings. I'm not here. If you feel like your toes is being stepped on, that's because you are in a sense where you feel like, and again, I'm not a religious person. I do not attend church, and I'm not an atheist. I'm someone that is seeking a more valid, tangible explanation for this book we call the Bible and what we call history, okay? Or his story. So we're just freestyling this. I'm not going to spend 12 hours. I have a family and a household to run. I cannot spend 12 hours putting together the perfect video for you guys and, making sure everything is perfect and everything, putting all these pictures to entertain you. Those who have eyes to see and ears to hear will be listening as well as seeing things. So this is something you want to put on maybe when you're on your way to work or something like that. I will put a timestamp here for when you should probably skip if you want to skip my story. And you want to get right into what we're talking about. And I will ask you guys now to go ahead and hit the thumbs up, please, and to maybe subscribe if you like. And please leave a comment if you have something to say, no matter how little you might think it might be. I'm trying to get those of us who are being somewhat awakened to have each one teach one and pass on little nuggets and tidbits of knowledge. That one little thing that you might put down in that comment section might be the thing that will put a big plug into something that someone is working on, and they just can't come up with that one thing that they need in order to finish seeing or seeking something. Okay, so we're gonna get into this because this is already getting exciting to me. So let's see where it goes. So America's most illustrious family now. Okay, if you go back to the Bible, who is the Bible's most excuse me, illustrious or maybe even important um or famous family? Think about this. Okay, so we're looking up the meaning. Illustrious, an adjective. 1560. Again, if you guys are on this channel, are we in the 5th day? When I'm asking that for you guys that are new, day 5 in your Bible in Genesis, I believe is talking about the 1500s. Day 6, the 1600s. Day 7, the 1700s. On and on and on and on. Okay? Excuse me. You did not get your first English Bible that was able to be passed out to certain people, only certain people in the Americas, until the late 1800s, the early 1900s, okay? So we don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't know. And to be honest with you guys, just because you're on here and just to give another disclaimer, I don't think that the Bible was, well, we know that the King James supposedly is 1611. But yes, that's more along the lines as to when these people put this book together in my eyes. But they have had documented information, scrolls, and stories passed down from when they first started doing the works that they were doing. But what I'm saying it to you is nobody in the Bible had a Bible. When they were writing the Bible was in those years, okay? They had to go through translations and all this other stuff. The first Bible that ever hit the Americas was in the American Indian language, okay? It was for the American Indians. The second one, you can go ahead and look at the history of the Bible in the Americas. I'm not going to do that because I've already done it on the page. I mean, on the, not this page, but this channel. So, yes. So me saying this is not that far-fetched. We need to leave the perceptions that man has given, or mankind, I'm not sure on which one yet, has given us when it comes to thinking of certain things. This is why they put pictures in your Bible. And most of these pictures, matter of fact, all of them, none of them have pictures in them that look like so-called brown or black or Indian, American Indian peoples. Okay? And then we have to stop foolishly calling ourselves the names and going off of all these other names of all these people in this book, because it may not even be pertaining to you. This whole thing might just be their story on your story. You say, why would you be reading this, Shay? Why would you be reading this? Why do you even care then? Because it's on a need to know basis, okay? If your enemy is doing something, he's using something crafty against you, don't you think you want to look at what he's using in order? So the funniest thing, like I said the other day, is the basic book that has enslaved your mind by the people that have given you the certain perception is what we're going to use in order to free you of that mindset, turn you back around and show you the word again when your mind is ready and when your eyes are open, so that you can see the difference between this good and evil, and you can see the stuff that these people have been up to. Okay? So it's so funny because it can serve as two purposes. It depends on your perception. The mind over matter, the matrix, the mind is very powerful. Okay? Perception is everything. Okay? And knowledge is something that people are lacking in this day, because we have entrusted certain people into giving the proper knowledge to you instead of thinking for yourself. So common sense, discernment, wisdom, knowing, all of these things are something that you're going to have to go reach into your bag of tricks and pull them out. Okay? So enough rambling. Okay? Hopefully for those of you guys that have just walked in, I'm going to tell you probably at this mark that this is when you can now go ahead and skip the rambling and go on with the video. So now we're looking at this. Okay, I told you guys everything I wanted to say. Ran my mouth enough. Now, here we go. America's most illustrious family. Now, you guys have the picture on the screen here. I'm just looking at what illustrious means. Sometimes we think we know what these words mean, but they can have a dual purposes or different meanings. So I like to go into etymology, since it kind of brings the word from its beginning all the way into whatever. So illustrious, 1560. Are we in the fifth day? Distinguished by greatness. Okay, distinguished by greatness. Renowned. From Latin, illustrious. And when I'm reading these things, I'm not going to read everything. You guys can stop it, do what you want to do with it. I'm just going to go ahead and pluck from it. So, lightened, bright. Who's the light bearer? Well, Satan is the light bearer or bringer, and Jesus was one too. The morning star. God made the two lights, one to rule the day, one to rule the night. All this stuff, guys, has dual meanings. So if you're just reading your Bible and you're going to church and listening to people that have been indoctrinated with the way that society and religion wants you to interpret it, and you've been listening to your pastor and he's been teaching you in Bible study and guiding you, this is not your type of study. That's why it's called It's Not Your Mama's Bible Study, because that's what grandma and them did back then. Now we coming into a different age where we need to know something. This is our time. This is the time when sons and daughters are going to prophesy. Now, I'm not saying it's the only time. I'm just saying that something like that is going on. There's some kind of a rapture or awakening that is getting people into a mode where we are moving mountains with our minds and gaining more information and knowledge, because somebody or one of these gods in this Bible said his people is perishing because of lack of knowledge. So I just want to make sure it ain't me. So I've gone on and put myself out there to be demonized and all these other things and questioned by friends and family and whoever else wants to do so. But I've already been brought through the fire and I am on the other side, and nothing anyone on this earth can say to me is going to um upset me or make me cry when it comes to this. Okay. You can have your understanding and I will take mine. Okay. And we can go back and forth, but again, I don't like to go back to and forth with people that are religious, because there's no need for us to do that, because we are not in the same mindset. And I do not see this God that you see the way that you see it. And I believe it's because of my source or creator is pulling me out and showing me something else. Okay. So that's like doing something your teacher said or somebody else mama said, but when your mama tell you to do something, you don't want to do it or you want to talk back. Just the way it is. So, lighted, bright, brilliant, figuratively distinguished, famous, probably a back formation from illustra, make light, light up, illuminate, illuminate, figuratively embellish, distinguish, make famous, replaced in the same sense. Okay. Um, mm, okay. So these are all related terms. Again, you can do what you want to do with these. Okay. But so that we can stay on track, noble, illustrious, distinguished, high ranking, or birth, knowable. Okay, well, no. Okay, so yeah, we're not even on that right now. Okay, so let me bring you back to the picture. So we already doing something basically on the channel. You can go ahead and look at John Adams or the Adams family, whatever. You'll find a couple of videos, a couple hours long. So let's go into it. Woo, getting a headache. Okay, so Adams, Charles Francis, 1807 to 1886. So this is like this is like a newer portion of the family. Yeah, because we're going to go back to some of the Adams from the 1700s as well. So none of our generals in the field, not Grant himself, did us better or more trying service than Charles Francis Adams. Now, this is the missing link to this family that I might have been looking for in the first place. Again, this is a freestyle. I grabbed these books today. I flipped through the page. We found this page. I thought this would be cool to come speak to you guys before I go to bed. And so we're just skimming through it real quick because we're already on this family, okay? So it says Charles Francis Adams. Wasn't there a Charles Francis Bacon? I don't know. Okay. Again, in his forlorn outpost in London. These words of James Russell Lowell himself, at a later date, a distinguished occupant of the same post, embody the sober judgment of history on the American minister. Now, this Adam, let me go ahead. I'm about to start using something when I read because I can't, take my eyes off the page for a second without getting lost. Okay. So, distinguished occupant of the same post, embody the sober judgment of history on the American minister to Great Britain in the trying days of the Civil War. Patriotism, high ideals of public service, sturdy independence of character, and sound intelligence were part of Adams' Puritan inheritance. Now, let's just go back here because these are just words that I'm just telling you guys You might know when they were around, what they did, but we don't really go into depth. Okay. Uh, see, and this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, please. I know, I know, people are gonna be thinking I'm crazy or something, but that's fine. A Puritan, noun, 1560. Again, are we in the fifth day? Opponent of wait, Ange- An- Anglican uh, hierarchy or here hierarchy. We'll say that. Okay. Later applied uh probriously to persons of church of England who seek further reformation um or reformation. 1570, probably from purity, largely historical from 19th century in literal sense after 1590, applied to anyone deemed overly strict in manners of religious morals. So what William Perkins, the whole Puritan movement. Oh, and it's funny. It's funny. It's funny that we even have these books because even one of these Bibles, one of these Bibles here has the family tree. Okay, we'll just okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going there, and I don't want to. So, the whole Puritan movement after him sought was to replace the personal pride of birth and status with the professionals or craftsman's pride of doing one's best in one's particular calling. Hmm. Why has your consonants fallen? I mean, I just threw that out there. I'm just being silly, but the good Christian society needs the best of kings, magistrates, and citizens. Perkins most emphasized the work ethnic. No, okay. Perkins most emphasized the work ethic from Genesis in a sweat of thy or sweat of thy brow shalt thou eat thy bread. Puritan, Boston, and Quaker, Philadelphia. So Puritans and Quakers and settlers and planters and all these things here. So impuritan, one who is not a Puritan. 1610, are we in the sixth day? A hostile coinage of the Puritans. From I'm, okay, not opposite of Puritan, perhaps also with suggestion of impure. Puritanism, which is an ism or one of those like compound type of words I was talking about, originally in reference to a specific doctrines from 1590s of excessive moral strictness generally. In this sense, famously defined by H.L. Mencken something, as halting fear that someone somewhere may be happy. Okay. So anyway, you guys, like I said, you can always stop this, pause it, do what you want to do with it. We just wanted to go ahead and see about the whole Puritan person, okay, who seeks the further reformation, okay. And let's see. Let's just do it because we're already here. And they're talking about like in Genesis, like I mean, because we know I know where we are. Improvement, alteration for the better. Again, 14th century, are we in the fourth day? Restoration, mid 15th century, improvement from the old French Reformation. And then this formation has a lot to do with the firmament. Go ahead and look at Reformation. Go ahead and look at the firmament. You will see the correlations in between the two things. Okay. And then we're talking about a general here. So these jobs that they came here to do have been passed along to go along with the reformation of the Americas for the better. Because remember, God saw it was good. So, and again, For those of you that are new, he wanted to rest on the seventh day. And again, I'm telling you, that might be the 1700s. And that's when we throw these big old parties. We go back to 1776. And you know what? If I'm not mistaken, I think that July 4th, 1776, I could be mistaken because you guys know I'm all over the place and I go where the spirit is guiding me at that moment. But I believe that one of these Adams died on July 4th, 1776. Not, no, not 1776. July 4th, another year. Maybe we'll look into it. Okay? So, again, it's just to reform in the reference to the European religious movement. So, basically, if your ancestors were pagans and Saracens, they were coming to do something and alter that for religion and Christianity and the things that they brought after. Okay? So, the movement began as a bid to reform doctrines. Again, then there we go with these doctrines and all these other things. Okay, and these papal bulls and all these other things that were going on at that time. Okay, and then I was just gonna say Protestant or Protestant or whatever. Originally, okay, so we're not. Okay, so we went far enough with that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we're going back to the book. I'll take you back to the picture. We're gonna go back to the book. In the trying days of Civil War, patriotism, high ideals of public service, sturdy independence of character, and the sound of intelligence were a part of Adams' Puritan inheritance. And again, it was an inheritance, for he was a member of that famous. Now, didn't we just see famous there when we were looking up the other term? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a big woohoo moment or whatever. But of that famous Massachusetts family, which for more than 3 generations, look at that, more than 3 generations, played a leading part in American history. So probably from the 1500s into the 1800s or whatever. Okay. The sun, see this? I mean, to me, it's just like vibrating, telling me to look into so many other things and just pointing me in the direction. But again, this is why it's hard for me to stay focused. The son of John Quincy Adams, okay, and the grandson of John Adams. He was born in Boston, graduated from Harvard College in 1825, and studied law under the Daniel Webster. Okay. I wonder what okay. He was for 5 years a member of the Massachusetts legislature, and in 1848 was the Free Soil, SOIL, candidate for the vice president. When the Republican Party was formed, there we go with that formation. Okay. 10 years later. Okay, so that would have been 1858 probably. Okay. He joined it and was elected to Congress. President Lincoln then appointed him minister to England, a position which he filled with such great ability from 1861 to 1868. Mr. Adams found a great body. Okay. Let's just look at this word. I mean, because I just think minister, sinister. I don't think that they have anything to do with each other, but I just want to look at this one. Okay. He was, okay, so a lot of things was consecrated. What else? Oh, certain days were consecrated and made holy. Let's see. 13th century, are we in the third day? Man consecrated to service in the Christian church. an ecclesiastics, also an agent acting for a superior, one who acts upon the authority of another. Because all of these presidents that were brought here to reign on the earth or the land and to bring others in to help till the earth, aborigines or indigenous people, are working for somebody, something, somewhere. Because there are foreign to this land, so they are here for reign. Servant, valet, member of a household staff. Again, a member. What were we just talking about in the book? I don't even know if I put that video up, so I can't be acting like that. But we're just talking about how we're reading the scripture in John, and it was saying something about like an initiation or something. I was telling you guys it seemed like this is a not a ritual, but some kind of coronation, some kind of graduation, some kind of thing was going on right there. Okay. So I think we're in the first and the second chapter. But again, acts upon the authority of another. They were sent there by who? And they would say their father, but what do people call a minister today? A father. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what we're saying. I'm just saying. I mean, we just have to be able to think about these things and let it run wild for a minute. Let's set the way that they told you to the side, because that is not doing anything for anyone on earth. It may be doing something for those in heaven, which is just the house or the living quarters for God. When you look up the definition. So again, servants of and children of it. When it comes to the government, it has gone from just being them and whoever's running them and whoever's controlling that puppet that you see with that yellow hair. And yes, I said yellow. In that house, okay, in the District of Columbia, in that area, what I'm saying is that puppet master and then the people that work with that. And in my eyes, in my opinion, fair use. We're talking about celebrities. We're talking about those who run television. We're talking about the ones that own the newspapers. We're talking about the ones that own the networks. We're talking about the ones that have families that have been dealing with certain things like tobacco and all this other stuff in the land and the resources. And they were there in the beginning and they're still reaping benefits now. We're talking about banksters, the people. We're talking about big pharma. We're talking about the medical industry. Now, I'm not telling you to stay away from these things. I'm just trying to tell you that we need to look deeper into these things and where they originate, the origines. You have to go back to the bases. We always have to go back to the foundation. So in order to know where we're going, and we've taken a shortcut because we've been listening to the very people that have been hiding yourself from you. So, I mean, I'm not telling you that, I'm just telling you to ask yourself if this could be possible. So let's see. Inferior. Okay, so household staff, again, the people that work there, the people that have these positions in that area, the ones that have the positions in your neck of the wood, in your town. Okay? The foreign councils, the UN. I mean, I'm just saying, look at all this stuff. Not just one thing, just look at it all. And I'm not trying to get formal opinion of anything. I'm just telling you to look into these things and use common sense and let that guide you a little bit. We've given that off to scientists and all these NASA. I'm just saying, nothing. Look, everything you think you know. Everything you think you know. Okay? And the more you dig and think you know, the more you know that you don't know. your musicians. And see, this is what I'm saying. It's all in one. Nothing is there for your entertainment purposes only. Okay, let's keep going. A servant. They take oaths to protect and serve that administration, that establishment, not you. You are the ones that are locked up in these prisons that they're building for profit. You are the ones that are stuck in debt from your student loans to try to learn something, to do something, to work for these very people, and the debt is unforgiven. So it's not talking about you and them as the same people. They're on a different level. Like when we're talking about the heavens in the sky, that's just a more elevated level of understanding and a elevated level of everything. They've been put over. They brought you down real low, and then they've come up real high. It's basically that's it. So, see, I'm just getting all worked up. Members of a household, staff, administrator, admin, minister. I mean, it's of course it says straighter, but minister. This is what I'm saying. I see words differently, and everybody else does too. But they just don't go into what are we really talking about here. Let's play with this a little bit, okay? So, musician, minstrel, and directly from the Latin minister. Let's see, inferior, servant, priest, assistant, less, hence subordinate, small. Formed on the model, okay, minister views a man as serving a church. Pastor views him as caring for a church. Shepherds cares for the sheep. Again, and they're just there. The pastors are there to lead you to those green pastures. I just told pastures. And while you're munching on that sweet grass, something is coming up on your ass. And this is what I'm talking about. The church is there to keep you stagnant. Period. It's just there to keep you thinking. See, and that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between be naive, okay, and knowing, okay? So there's a difference. Now it says serving a church, okay, clergy, okay, and that's what I'm saying. He cares for the sheep. How? By leading them astray, or leading them to where the head honcho wants them to go. Clergyman view him as belonging to a certain class. Divine. See? Divine. What is it? Divinity. We're talking about that divine energy. Okay? Is properly one learned in theology. Now, I would like to look more in theology. I think I know where we're going with that, but like I said, I haven't studied it all the way around. A theologian, parson, okay, formerly a respectful designation, is now little better than a name for a clergyman, priest, regarding a man who is appointed. And again, to think that these people are not signed up with your government, then you have to think again. Because a lot of these people are under certain things with the government to get certain funding, and you guys know I always mix it up, but the 501c3, I believe, is what it is, okay? And if your church is under that, then they're putting basically that government before the God that they fooled you into thinking and believing in that sense. So, the political sense of higher office, and again, that's your sky. This is your sky. Like when it said the clouds or the heavens and the sky, and we're talking about all this stuff. You put house of God, and then the sky is just a higher, more elevated platform. This is where these people are. This is why you stay poor while they keep getting rich. Higher office of state person appointed by a sovereign or chief, okay, chief of staff, chief, and again, the president ain't even the one that do the hard work. It's the people underneath him. It's the heads, it's the chambers, it's the things, it's the stuff that goes around that have the more probably difficult jobs. I mean, just in my opinion, I don't know. So, magistrate, okay, of a country as the responsible. Like, now, why is we even talking about this when we talk about a minister? Why are we talking? Because there's all forms of this thing. It has several ugly heads. I'm just trying to show you guys, okay? When it comes to your military, your police force, these things have been in the play before the president even, before we even had a president in this land. Before we even had a president in this land, the firmament was made by those forces. And they still take an oath to those people, not you. I always tell you guys, go up and try to talk to the president or get 10 inches close to and see what happened. Live in a neighborhood where it might be less desirable and be stabbed and or shot and sitting there on the pavement and see how long it take them to get there. Same thing with celebrities. Same thing. See what happened. So we all way off subject. No, we still on subject, but we just going deep. That's all. Either you got time for it or you don't. Formally as a respectful designation is now little better than name for, okay, we already did that. So higher, whatever. Okay, so let's just see. Attested. Oh, okay, wait. Sovereign or a chief magistrate of a country as the responsible head of a department of the government is attested from 1620. And again, are we in the 16th? From the nation of one who renders official service to the crown. From the 1700s, a diplomatic representative of a country abroad. Again, this is a foreign nation. Foreign. A minister without whatever, a cabinet. Okay, his cabinet status, but is not in charge of a specific department. Now, I know this is going off the grid, but again, we were not ever supposed to really be any type of somehow we've been tricked into giving. It just reminds me of the fact of somehow we've been tricked into giving our power over to these people. Okay, so but let me see. There was a word here, renders. I want to look at that. And then let's just keep on going a little bit. Early 14th century, ministering to perform religious rites. And again, provide religious service, to serve. Everything ain't so deep and fancy and heavily and, and scholarly and everything. Some of this stuff, you just have to just open up your eyes and you will be able to see, honey. And when you do, you cannot stop. And that's practicing your craft. Those are using your gifts. And that's when you get the true, what one would call a blessing, but I don't like to use that term as much as it is just something. It's just something. It's something that I cannot explain it to you. To serve food or drink, late 14th century, render services, aid, medicine, furnishings, meaning to means of relief or remedy, from Old French, whatever, to serve, be of service, administer, attend, wait on. Okay. And directly something to serve, attend, wait. Okay. So prime minister, to see prime minister applied to the first minister of state of Great Britain in 1694. Okay. So again, here is some more. You guys can stop these, look at it, admin. It's a very brilliant way of looking at all this stuff, because as you're taking this information in, it is going to be guiding you when you're doing more research. Okay. Administration, act of giving or dispensing. Again, go back in Genesis and see what was the job of the man that was made to preside or to have control over or to subdue and all these things. Read Genesis 1 and 2 again. Read it again and again and again if you have to. And take those words that you may not be clear on, or you think you might even be clear on that might have an alternative meaning, and throw them through the process. That was my phone. Bring them through the process. Bring them through the ringer. Look at them. Because I'm telling you, it might seem like a lot of work, but once you in there to a certain degree, it's not, nothing can stop you. So let's just keep on going. Okay, so family, which is, okay, 3 generations leading apart in American history. The son of John Quincy Adams and the grandson of John Adams. He was born in Boston, graduated from Harvard College in 1825, and studied law under Daniel Webster, which is remind me of the Webster's Dictionary for some reason. He was the first 5 years a member of the Massachusetts legislature, and in 1848 was free soil candidate for the vice president. Okay. When the Republican Party was formed 10 years later, he joined it and was elected to Congress. President Lincoln then appointed him minister to England, and a position with which he filled with such great ability. From 1861 to 1868, Mr. Adams found the great body of upper-class Englishmen hostile or indifferent in the federal government in its struggle with the South. And again, that federal government, just knowing that there was probably something that was like 2 presidents at the same time. And what are we talking about? And it's making me think about Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, and then the North and South, and then the war, the Revolutionary War. I mean, it's just, let's see. Okay. The British government had early, and again, all of these things are stories. We are just using these things to put together there's something that's already activated, okay? There's something that's already activated in some of us. Reading this stuff, something is magically going to align. It's going to align these details to the point where you're going to be able to see things the way that nobody has ever seen them, because they're just not regurgitating stuff that they was beaten into their head, and they're over and over, repeating over and over again, generation on top of generation. You are going to have a different sense of knowing, seeing, and thinking. Okay. So, but again, you have to, that wall has to start crumbling down in order for that to even happen. So, the British government had early granted equal rights as a belligerent, okay, to the Confederacy. And the prime minister, again, would have been the first person, what did we say? Elected to do what? Let's see. I want to make some damn flashcards. I need them for myself. I'm going to pin them up here on my wall. To the first minister of the state of Great Britain since 1694. Okay. Okay, so let's see. And then we'll go ahead and look at this. And then I'm going to go ahead and stop. And then we'll come back with the next person. Okay, war waging, engaging in hostility. So they became hostile. Waging war, to bear, to carry the cross, maybe. To bear, to carry the cross, maybe. The noun meaning party or nation of war. Okay, so who did that? The British government had early granted equal rights as a belligerent to the Confederacy. So they were mad about this Confederacy, which brings up the fact in the Bible verses where it says they have come up with a confederacy against you. I'm not saying that this is exactly who they were talking about, when, what. I'm just saying it just brings my radar up. So maybe when you read those chapters, you can start picking up on and going with the flow, and keep thinking of it the way you want to if you want to. But I'm just saying, wouldn't it help people if you can go and look at it an alternative way just once? So They got y'all so scared. And the foreign secretary only awaited, okay, wait, okay, to the Confederacy, and the prime minister and foreign secretary only awaited a favorable occasion to recognize its independence. Our blockade of the southern ports forced the Lancashire cotton mills to shut down. Now, see, oh, and I can't write in this book. These encyclopedias. Now, the book cover might be a little dusty, but the pages are crisp and beautiful. I'm just so glad. I was just so happy. I really am just so overjoyed with finding these books. Let's see. To shut down for lack of raw material, and the mill owners demanded loudly that Great Britain raise the blockade. Um, and while we're here, oh, what did I do? How did I spell it? Oh, I know what I'm doing. The shutting up of a place by hostile ships with ships. Okay. Okay. The setting up of a hostile place with ships or troops. 1690, are we in a 6-day? False French ending. In this sense, which seems to be a part of back formation from the, okay, so, okay, a blockade. That do have something to do with that thing. And then some fort, and then Lincoln and somebody else. I can't remember. Prevent, and whoever was the president of the, maybe, I don't know if it was Adams. Maybe it was Adams. Of the Confederate. You guys, the federal government. Okay. Oh, maybe I should do a search and see who all the presidents of that thing was. So, prevent ingress or egress from warlike means. Okay. So, anyways, okay. All right. So, the most difficult question of all arose from the laxity of the British government. Again, since we're here, some of these words, I haven't always been a reader like that. So, 1520 from middle. But I always had this dream or this vision that, why do I like books so much? These books are going to lead to something one day. And it wasn't until I was comfortable with, it took me years to even want to open up my mouth about this, in fear of something. For what? For what? This is what the problem is. This is why we can't get no new information or way of looking at things, because everybody's afraid that Jesus or God is going to get them for challenging the words that have been put here. Like, they didn't know humanity was going to do this if you looking at it in the religious way. We'll say that when we say it this way. And it says, with suspicion from whatever, and earlier now with laxation. Okay. Loosen, lax. Okay. Color blindness. Okay. Discriminate against colors, race, okay. So, okay, listen. Okay. So, let's see. Government in permitting the famous Alabama cruiser built by the Confederacy in England to escape the high seas and begin in its career of destruction. Probably no diplomatic representative of any country ever had more difficult questions than these to handle. It must be remembered also that this was in the days before submarine cables and wireless. What? It must be remembered also that this was in the days before submarine cables and wireless. The hell is they talking about something wireless in 1927? Wow, yeah, it says wireless. And the minister was forced to act, and it just make me. I'm not saying that they did, and I'm not saying that they didn't, but it would just be real funny, if there was technology being used that we just don't know about because they just didn't tell you secret things. Secret societies, occult just means hidden knowledge or hidden information. You know, the minister was forced to act largely on his own judgment, but Mr. Adams showed ability and tact in order, of a high order of asserting our rights. And the place which he thus won for himself is second only to that of Franklin in his history of the American diplomacy. Mr. Adams' last public service was as a member of the Geneva, I don't know why that word stands out so much, Attrib- wait, arbitration tribunal, okay, in 1771 through 1772, which fixed the amount of damages Great Britain paid for permitting the Alabama to escape. Now, this says Henry Adams, 1838, in small print, to 1918, whose brilliant book entitled The Education of Henry Adams. Okay, now I would like to get that book because I've been reading a lot about hidden writings in this family. And Henry Adams, I hadn't heard his name yet. So, was published in 1918, was a distinguished son of Charles Francis Adams. And I'm going to look up Charles Francis because he's new too. Okay. He was at one time professor of history in Harvard University. In schools too. That was on my list earlier than when I was talking about these places. And was the author of, did God really put you here to be doing that? Did he put you to be here to be working hard, day by day, check by stressed out body? Did he put us here for that? Do you really think that? I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to figure a lot of things out. Okay, and was the author of numerous historical works. Could some of them be in the Bible? Because this would have been before you got one in America, in English, available to the multitude or the public population. Numerous historical works, including a notable history of the United States from 1801 to 1817. His brother Charles Francis Jr. Okay, so there was another Charles Francis, and these guys kept the same names for a long time. And that's why I'm trying to wonder if when they say Adam lived for 900 years, what we really talking about? Anybody can take this however they want to take it. But are we talking about just that family line? You see how it just said that there was a prominent family when it came to the establishing the Americas for like 300 years. So, well, let's just see something real quick. Because I know, their hands are still in it now, but the Bible would have been written and passed out by now. In the Americas, at least. I'm just talking about in the Americas, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. So Adam, how long did Adam live? It's like solving a crime or something. Would God want somebody not to solve a crime by using information if something was standing out to them and then they needed to use this and go do this investigation so they can find the person that did this crime? So this is the same thing that we, looking at. Nobody should be upset. 930 years. Now, you know how I told you guys sometimes about when you're looking at some of these dates to add the one back in. I'm not saying for this general thing, but I'm just saying, let's say 930 years. The book, Genesis 5, the book of generations, lists the descendants of Adam from Seth to Noah. Okay, so it was just from that time to that time with their ages and their births and the son. Okay, boom, boom, boom. 930 years. So I'm just wondering, because this Francis person, he died in 1915. We're going to keep on going, but it would be funny to find out that one of these families, if they were prominent in doing this thing, let's see, stop doing whatever they were doing in 1913. I'm just saying, because I'm trying to look at this in all aspects. Because this just mean that he stopped doing his works, or he was going to be, because these people are very crafty and they plan things out, and they're very, very premeditated, and they're very, very patient. And they do things over a long span of time. They don't just do things quick. When they start doing it like that, then you better be concerned. So, or we could be looking at it in a different way. We could tally up all the ages and see when his family line ran out of power when it comes to the government or any other works that they may have been doing on society. So with their writings and whatever, are these good guys? Are they bad guys? And this is what I'm saying. This is why it's good to do this, and it's fun. So let's just keep going. So, okay, so it says, whose brilliant book entitled The Education of Henry Adams was published in 1918, was a distinguished son of Charles Francis Adams. He was a one-time professor of the... Wait, let's see something. I just need to see something. John Quincy Adams. He previously served as the 8th United States Secretary of the State from 1817 to 1825. Presidential term until 1829. Listen, I'm not telling you what it is. I'm just saying what it looked like. And I might just be, sometimes I think, why is not anybody else looking at this like this? Am I just going crazy? Am I just making this stuff up? That's why I like for people to give me a response, even if it's not the one I want to hear. It's fine. I just want some feedback, because it just bothers me that people can't see this for some reason. I just don't know. It's just weird. Same thing with the tarot cards in the Torah or the Bible in the, I'm glad somebody, and I want to thank whoever, I don't know the name right now because I don't have it pulled up, did make a comment. And I read it, but sometimes I have to read things over and over again to pick out the points and, look a little bit deeper. But let's see. So, was a distinguished son of this person. He was at one time professor of history in Harvard, numerous historical works, including a notable history of the United States. And again, none of this stuff is planned. I'm just pulling stuff up right here. And this is the 6th president. I don't think that there was anybody else in that family that was in power to that certain extent. Now, I'm not saying that he died, but, okay, so if they are the living and we are dead by law, then when he was in that position or their family was in that position, what are we saying? Could we be talking about the fact that that was the time when they were in a position of power upon the living, who would be those people that are higher up, or the hierarchy or the elite? Because that was in 29. Okay. So then 1930 is when he died. Okay. So what did you, I don't know if they still use them a year after. So for like political stunts and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is that's real funny that this is 1829. But I don't even know. Hold on, let me see. I'm thinking 1930. So I need to make up, or I don't need to make up. I need to find, I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I need to find out what the rest of the descendants of those people um did from, unless there's some kind of crafty math that goes on here where instead of adding that one, you take one away and then you get 18. I'm just making up, I'm just saying stuff right now, y'all, to get close to that number. I'm trying to see what I would have to do. I'm not nobody that works in no gematria or whatever, or no numbers and all this other stuff. I'm just looking at this differently. Now, again, it could be something funny with the numbers, or we may not be talking about this at all, or there's just something a little bit more, or somebody else was still in power. Maybe one of his children was still a senator, but what I'm saying is his bloodline was still relevant up at. Could it be that the bloodline was still going to be or supposed to be relevant up until a certain time? Okay, and then yeah, maybe something happened, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know, because I think a lot of the stuff was like plan. I like to think prophecy or plan, prediction, or was it something that was premeditated? So, a lot of this stuff when it comes to the New Testament, what if some of this stuff was planned out to happen because they just have so much confidence in themselves and what they're going to do, or there's a part of this plan or whatever, like Drake say, a part of God's plan. And what if some of these things don't get fulfilled because some people fall, or they fall from whatever? So let's just see. Okay. So including a notable history of the United States from 1801 to 1817. His brother Charles Francis Jr. was also eminent as a soldier of the Civil War. And when these soldiers, sometimes I get the feeling that they're talking about the sons of this. The soldiers are this, like Benjamin. Okay, excuse me, that was just the water that I've been drinking. But Benjamin, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just sitting here talking to y'all like we just having a conversation, and that just happened, and it is what it is. So, let's see. His brother, okay, so was also an eminent as a soldier of Civil War, railroad president, and historian. Brooks Adams, okay, 1848 to 1927, was the author of numerous volumes of economical and social topics. So, yeah. So I think that we are still going to go through here and find out more. But, like I said, I know nothing of these numbers, but something is giving me some strong energy to keep focusing on said numbers. Okay? It's just making me think of said numbers in a manner where something may have been worked up with these numbers, or, it's not really meaning that this person might have lived himself for that long. But I don't know. I'm just bringing up a point. Okay? So again, thank you guys. I hope that you guys stuck with me through the end. Again, you can skip through these, whatever. I'm just bringing the information. And sometimes it doesn't fit right. And sometimes I go off, on a tangent. But again, I'm just hoping that somebody can resonate with something that's been said here. And if you like what you see, share it. Take a clip out. Share it again or whatever. On your own platform or something. Whatever you want to do. Take it and revamp it, add what you want to add, and share it with somebody, So anyhow, I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.